Another in our series on gun books, and we return to the writing of Colonel Cooper. Excuse me. He, of course, wrote numerous books, and we've reviewed a few of them, as well as his biography by his daughter. But while he was running Gunsite, the American Pistol Institute, back in the day, he published a newsletter to the members, and I was lucky enough to be on that list. So I was able to receive through the mail the newsletter when it was published, and it was full of all sorts of information. Some of it written by the Colonel, others gleaned from the news, from other correspondence, and so on. I actually submitted a couple of items to it. And it was diverse. It didn't just cover shooting, covered politics, sociology, history, hunting, all sorts of things, whatever caught his fancy. And it was, while it ran, it was very interesting. Now, of course, we no longer have things like newsletters, really, because everything's digital. So receiving a printed newsletter through the mail seems rather old-fashioned to most people. And similarly, the views of the Colonel would seem very, very old-fashioned to a lot of people now, to the point where they probably wouldn't be even permitted in some cases. He was far from being politically correct. They actually published the newsletters in an archive form, the Gargantuan Gunsite Gossip by Jeff Cooper and his friends and relations. And I think they actually did 3 different versions of it. So it was very prolific, obviously. And I always eagerly awaited the issue, but then when this came out, I was able to get it. And I do plan on buying the 3rd one at some stage, just to have some remembrance of the writings. One of the things that the Colonel was very, very adamant about was precision in the use of language. And precision is important. So there's a section here where he says the word decimate is widely used, but it actually means to reduce by exactly 1/10, which is the root of the word. And it was something that was done by the Romans as a punishment. They would take every 10th enemy and kill him. So that's what decimate means. And the Colonel didn't like it to be used more widely. Similarly, the word shrapnel referred to the particular type of munition devised by Henry Shrapnel, who was a British officer. But it's widely used. It's become a generic term for fragmentation. And we should use fragmentation, not shrapnel. Similarly, dum-dum bullets. It's another thing he used to talk about. Dum-dum bullets were something made at the Dum-dum arsenal in India. Hollow points, expanding rounds, things like that are not dum-dum bullets. And the Colonel tried to educate people. Unfortunately, most of the people who use language like that wouldn't be reading the newsletter in the first place. He comments about Africa quite a lot. And here's a particularly non-politically correct little paragraph in this age now we're in of trying to rewrite history and being violently anti-colonial. We are sufficiently elderly so that we can remember when the Congo was run by the Belgians, Lebanon by the French, Ethiopia by the Emperor, Iran by the Shah, Libya by the Italians, India by the British, and the Philippines by the US. But all those places are much better off now, right? Did we hear a dissenting voice? So the book is full of comments like that. Another section here is aimed at the mass media when they discuss firearms, because they get it muddled hopelessly wrong. And what is a firearm? A repeating firearm, automatic firearm, semi-automatic firearm, rifle, shotgun, pistol, machine gun, machine pistol. These are not interchangeable terms, except they all fall under firearm, obviously. And so the Colonel was very much into precision of language. A clip for a magazine. It's not a clip, it's a magazine. Things like that. So I always found it very, very interesting, and he did influence the way I use some language and some words. Try to be a little bit more in line with the actual derivation of the word, and so on. Anyway, so in these reviews, obviously, it's obviously apparent that I'm very much very fond of the writing of the Colonel, and their books I go back to all the time. Particularly his things like Fireworks, Another Country, things like that, I really did enjoy. And if you like his books, then lots more comment of that nature is in the Gargantuan Gunsite Gossip.